Thanks for joining us again for Creating Connections podcast, episode 145. I'm Mitch Taylor.
And I'm Vickie Musni.
And today we're going to cover a question that was put in our Sales for Event Pros group on Facebook. If you're not part of that group and you are an event professional currently, not you once were, not any of that stuff, you still have to be a part of the events industry in some way, shape, or form, actually performing at events. We encourage you to join us in the Sales for Event Pros community on Facebook. Over 1,600 roughly right now, some of that ballpark, 1,650, something like that.
Lots of great conversations. And then once a month, we'll pick one question or topic that comes up on there and dive a little deeper for an episode.
And today's one is about selling talent, so to speak, which Vickie doesn't necessarily like that verbiage, but...
Well, I just think it can be confusing, but you're talking about selling your own talent, but talking about selling talent who works for you, other talent within your company. How do you do that? If you're booked, you're the owner of the company, how do you go about selling that other DJ, that other photographer, that other planner on your team?
More after the break.
That was nice and easy.
What are you talking about? This also speaks to a much bigger issue.
Providing personal solutions through understanding people. This is the Creating Connections podcast with Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vickie Musni.
Welcome back to Creating Connections episode number 145. I'm Mitch.
And I'm Vickie.
And today we're talking about how to sell other people on your team, how to sell your talent.
And Mitch, I know you have a lot to say on the subject. You've done whole seminars on this in the past, and it's something that you deal with on a really regular basis.
Absolutely.
I mean, your company is called Tailored Weddings because you have Taylor as your last name. Mm-hmm. It's clear when people contact you, they know really soon that you are the owner.
Right.
But yet you often have, especially on your peak days, 3, sometimes 4 events happening simultaneously because you have other people on your team.
Yes.
So
how do you
I know it's a
talent?
big topic for a short podcast, but how do you handle that? What do you do? You're booked, or they can't have you as an option, or they can't afford you. How do you deal with that?
I think the problem becomes first is people looking at the I, me, my versus the we, us, our. And I would encourage you to eliminate the I, me, my out of your vocabulary if you have other people on your team that you are offering for services or talent for a client. So you have to sell the process and the company first, is what I would recommend. Sell the process and the talent and the company first, then talk about the talent you developed under that. Because once they understand, where you're coming from, what your goal is, we talk about that in the Sales for Event Pros workshop. What are your goals, So we talk about that a little bit. Once they understand where you're coming from, your story, if you will, they're better able to connect with who you are as a person individually. And from there, you can sell the process and the talent better. So, and I think it's important to match personalities too.
But I need to back up because I think what you said is really, really important about the I, me, my versus
we, us, our.
We, us, and our. Because I think so many times, especially if you started off doing this business on your own, and then later you brought in an assistant or a second person or started developing a crew. And again, this doesn't just apply to DJs.
No.
I've seen this with wedding planning companies where there's different coordinators on staff, lots of photographers. I managed photography for several years at the Peppermill Hotel and Casino here in Reno, and I had a team of 7 photographers. And if you know me at all, you know I'm not actually a photographer. And they hired me for that position to manage that team of photographers. So I was, in that case, I was always selling my other photographers and who's going to be the best fit. But that if you had that situation before where you were selling yourself, that could be a harder habit to break than you realize.
It is.
Especially if your name and the company name were synonymous.
Yes.
I think I think that's almost another step. If you've got a multi-op, hopefully you've made that leap and you've changed your name and you're not Mitch Taylor Entertainment, but you've become Tailored Weddings. And then when you're selling, you have to retrain yourself. Well, at Tailored Weddings, we do XYZ. Correct. At, Tailored Weddings, we do this. And in my case, it was not just, Craig and I, it was like, well, our video team at Ever After Creations has this set of things that we provide, but it's a good retraining process. So that's huge.
And if you don't think you are saying it, go back and let's prove yourself right or wrong and video or audio record your next sales presentation. How often are you saying I, me, my, and how often are you saying we, us, our? And hopefully the latter outweighs or outproduces the former in regards to a count on your piece of paper, if you will. So those are things I want to encourage you to think about and start there first. That's the starting point. And then the secondary step is to know what your goals are, know who your client is, and how you can connect with them. And I think that is so important in regards to speaking their language. I know, Vickie, you talk about, we've done 4 dialects of speaking bride in the past and speaking their language with your seminars. So you know all about that from that standpoint of how to do that. So specifically, you want to get into, you want to get into, what can you do for them? And then who on your team is best suited to fit that client.
Yes.
You can't, and this is where it gets tough, right? Because you may have one more date to fill on your calendar or one more slot on that date to fill on your calendar, for example, and you meet with the client and then you realize that, that person's not going to be a good fit with this bride. So what do you do?
Yep.
So this is where having 2-person teams can come in really well, because now you can shift and adjust. And maybe you're not promising a certain talent. Maybe you've had the foresight to say, okay, I'm going to sell at different levels, which is what we do at Tailored Weddings. We sell different levels of talent.
Based on years of experience.
And then you actually can offer them the right personality versus pigeonholing yourself with a name on a contract. These are all just lessons learned over 22 years of business now in the wedding and event business for myself. So things to think about.
Well, and I think if you've got people that are working for you and they're truly a part of your team, part of your company, then hopefully you have set the tone for what is expected, what is required, the level of service that they are to provide. I think this would be different if you were trying to just subcontract, like if you posted in a local photographers group, hey, I double booked on this day and I need to send somebody else. That's a whole different animal. And honestly, I can't really speak to that personally. That's by choice. That's not the situation I've created. But if you're talking about your own staff, your own team, then you should believe in them enough that it should be no problem for you to sell what they do. And again, that goes back full circle to the way Mitch started this. You're selling the company and the environment and the level of service, the expectations that you have set and the outcomes that you as a company can create. And then you can go into how you've trained them and what else you've done to ensure those things, the checks and balances you have in place to make sure that things are going to come off to your standards.
Yeah. We, us, our versus I, me, my. Company goals, do they match what that client wants? And then offer levels of talent based upon years of experience and talent developed. The partner in a firm makes way more than the person just starting out in a firm.
Yep.
There's no difference, in my opinion. And again, everyone's different how they run their companies. I know many successful companies that they book on a first come, first served basis for their talents. And there's nothing wrong with that either, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. And there's all kinds of ways to sell talent. You can have the talent meet with the bride and groom face-to-face to see if it's a right fit. All kinds of ways to do it.
Yep.
I'm just offering another perspective of how to do it and learn from my mentors, guys that have helped me out, and gals for that matter that have helped me out. And yeah, so just sharing how we sell talent here at Tailored Weddings and some other concepts and thoughts that might help you. So that's it for Creating Connections podcast episode 145. I'm Mitch.
And I'm Vickie.
Thanks so much for watching. We greatly appreciate it. If you like our podcast, go put a review up on iTunes. We'd greatly appreciate it. We'd love you for it. And who knows, maybe we'll even send you a little gift. You never know. Could happen. We provide personal solutions through understanding people. We'll see you next time.
Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Creating Connections podcast with Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vickie Musni. For more information on providing personal solutions through understanding people better, visit creatingconnections.biz.